Have you ever paused to wonder whether your next big trip after 70 might do more harm than good? People often treat travel as the ultimate reward for a lifetime of hard work, assuming that age should never be a barrier to exploration. But for those crossing into their 70s and beyond, the challenges lurking behind every suitcase and boarding pass can be far more serious than expected. While adventure can still be on your horizon, there are certain hidden pitfalls that might make you think twice before booking that dream vacation. Today, we're unpacking why travel after 70 comes with risks that most people never even consider. Let's begin with one of the most frequently overlooked aspects of traveling in your later years: the physical burden that accumulates long before you set foot in a hotel lobby. Everyone knows travel involves a great deal of walking, standing, and lugging around heavy baggage. Yet the toll this takes on an older body often goes unnoticed until it's too late. A younger traveler might bounce back from a 6-hour flight with only a mild headache and a stiff neck. But past 70, that same flight can trigger lingering exhaustion, back pain, and swollen joints that take days or even weeks to fully subside. Imagine the excitement of planning a cross-country train ride, only to realize you can barely navigate the narrow aisles without losing your balance. Or consider how just a slight miscalculation, like skipping a rest break, can leave you drained for the rest of the trip. In many cases, seniors push through fatigue to keep up with family or group tours, unaware that consistent overexertion weakens the immune system and sets the stage for more serious complications down the line. By the time the trip is over, the body is running on fumes, and what started as an adventurous journey becomes a recovery period that stretches far beyond the vacation itself. It's easy to dismiss aches and pains as a natural part of aging, but dismissing the body's warning signals is a recipe for disaster. For instance, seniors with arthritis might believe they can handle a moderately active trip until the altitude changes of a mountainous destination cause inflamed joints to flare up. Even changes in humidity can affect mobility and stamina, making routine tasks feel oddly strenuous. The sheer unpredictability of these physical reactions is enough to transform a well-planned trip into a whirlwind of discomfort, doctor visits, and mounting frustration. Yet the real danger lies in underestimating one's physical limitations. A 73-year-old named Judith once recounted how she arrived at her dream European tour feeling more exhausted than anticipated, determined not to miss anything. She forced herself through days packed with sightseeing, only to collapse from dehydration and stress by the end of the first week. While she recovered after a short hospital stay, the medical bills and lingering weakness overshadowed the rest of her journey. It was the wake-up call she wished she'd had sooner. Even beyond the typical wear and tear, traveling seniors are susceptible to a wide array of unexpected health issues that can escalate in unfamiliar environments. Chronic conditions like heart disease or respiratory problems might be stable at home, but put them under the added pressure of altitude changes, marathon walking tours, or sweltering tropical climates, and the risk level skyrockets. What might be controlled in a local routine can spiral into an emergency if the nearest hospital is a 2-hour drive away, or worse, if language barriers make quick treatment difficult. High blood pressure, for instance, can be managed with medication and lifestyle choices in familiar surroundings. But a vacation that involves multiple flights, abrupt sleep schedule changes, and the stress of navigating chaotic airports can cause blood pressure to surge unexpectedly. Imagine needing urgent medical attention in a place where you're unsure how to contact an ambulance or where you don't speak the local language. Even in developed countries with excellent medical facilities, you may not have immediate access to your usual doctor, which complicates proper care. There's also the often overlooked reality of medication management. Seniors typically pack enough prescription meds for their journey, but unforeseen delays, lost luggage, or a sudden shift in dosage needs can leave you short. In a best-case scenario, you scramble to refill prescriptions in a foreign pharmacy with the risk of substituting a slightly different formula that doesn't sit well with your system. In a worst-case scenario, you're left without crucial medication entirely for several days. Either way, the costs, both financial and physical, can be substantial. One cautionary tale involves a 76-year-old traveler named Harold who neglected to update his travel insurance. When an unforeseen heart issue landed him in a private hospital overseas, he discovered his insurance did not cover out-of-country treatments. The hospital bills alone soared into the tens of thousands, forcing him to rely on emergency help from relatives. The nightmare of nearly depleting his life savings overshadowed the rest of his trip and marked the end of carefree travel for Harold. All this underscores the importance of preparing for health contingencies. It's not about frightening seniors out of traveling altogether. It's about recognizing that your body's margin for error is thinner than it was decades ago. Before booking a trip, it's crucial to consult a trusted physician for an honest assessment of your health. A detailed conversation about any potential risks, required vaccinations, and recommended precautions can make the difference between a disastrous ordeal and a manageable, enjoyable vacation. While the physical toll and chronic health issues are pressing concerns, there's another peril that often sneaks up on unsuspecting travelers: exposure to unfamiliar germs and infections. Traveling through busy airports, public transport hubs, or tourist hotspots places you in contact with countless individuals from around the world, each carrying their own set of microbes. Younger immune systems might fend these off with minimal issues, but in older adults, a common cold can escalate into serious respiratory distress. Airplanes, in particular, can be breeding grounds for viral and bacterial transmission. You're seated in close proximity for hours, breathing recirculated air, possibly brushing shoulders with someone coughing a few rows away. Even a well-timed sneeze in a crowded departure lounge can spread illness rapidly. Although many airlines maintain high-quality air filtration systems, the reality is that no system is perfect. And once you arrive at your destination, you're greeted by a new environment with different strains of bacteria in the water, on produce, and on shared surfaces such as elevator buttons and restaurant tables. Consider food safety. That street vendor may be dishing out tempting local delights, but if your digestive system isn't used to the spices or preparation methods, it can lead to intense gastrointestinal turmoil. Seniors are more vulnerable to severe dehydration from diarrhea or vomiting, which not only ruins the trip, but can also escalate into a medical emergency. Even those who meticulously wash their hands and stick to reputable eateries can be caught off guard by contaminated salad greens or improperly filtered water. One traveler, a retired teacher named Helen, found herself in dire straits after sampling local cuisine during a cruise stop. She had always taken pride in having a strong stomach, but what started as mild stomach cramps quickly progressed into persistent diarrhea and vomiting. By the time the ship's medical staff stepped in, she was dangerously dehydrated. She spent 2 days quarantined in her cabin, missing out on the highlight destinations. The cruise line's policy meant she covered the medical costs, and she left the trip feeling depleted both in energy and in funds. Staying vigilant about hygiene can help, but it's not foolproof. Packing disinfectant wipes, using hand sanitizer regularly, and opting for bottled water are steps in the right direction. Some even wear masks during flights or in highly congested areas. Still, the best approach is acknowledging that your immune system no longer bounces back as quickly without taking extra care. What begins as an exciting journey could end in a hospital bed, all thanks to an infection that a younger traveler might shrug off in a day or two. Even if you dodge infections and manage underlying medical conditions like a pro, there's another silent threat: exhaustion. At first glance, feeling tired after a day of travel seems normal, but for seniors, jet lag, busy itineraries, and irregular sleeping conditions can create a cascade of health issues that compound the general wear and tear of the trip. Picture this: you've landed after a long-haul flight that involved multiple connections. You arrive at your destination late at night, only to find that your internal clock is still set to morning. You finally crash, but you're up at 3 a.m. wide awake and ready for breakfast while the rest of the locale sleeps. This scenario plays out day after day, and the result is chronic fatigue. In younger years, this might be annoying but manageable. For seniors, prolonged fatigue weakens the immune system, worsens balance and coordination, and can intensify any chronic pain you already have. Additionally, unpredictable travel schedules often reduce opportunities for proper rest. Tours might start early to avoid crowds, or flights could be scheduled at odd hours for cheaper fares. These disruptions wear down the body's resilience. The energy reserves that might have served you well during your 50s can be depleted faster than you expect in your 70s or 80s. As the fatigue accumulates, you might find yourself skipping destinations or activities you'd been excited about simply because you can't muster the strength to participate. Another overlooked issue is that seniors often don't hydrate enough while traveling, either because it's inconvenient to find restrooms in unfamiliar places or they want to avoid frequent stops. Yet dehydration exacerbates fatigue and can lead to low blood pressure, dizziness, or confusion. Combine that with poor sleep and you have a perfect recipe for accidents. Suddenly, that short walk to the nearby cafe feels like a grueling hike, and climbing the steps of a tour bus becomes an uphill battle. Moreover, traveling in a group can push some seniors to ignore early signs of fatigue, fearing they'll hold others back. If you keep pushing your limits, your body will eventually force you to slow down, possibly in a very unpleasant way, like collapsing from exhaustion or suffering an injury due to shaky balance. Recognizing your personal boundaries and insisting on breaks or more flexible schedules can make the difference between a gratifying experience and a nightmarish odyssey that leaves you worn out for months afterward. Even the most alert senior can face sudden hazards when traveling. Whether it's navigating cobblestone streets in Europe or stepping onto a rocky shoreline during a cruise excursion, unfamiliar terrain can prove treacherous. Falls, in particular, remain one of the top causes of hospitalization for those over 70, and the risk increases dramatically when you're in an environment designed with younger tourists in mind. Picture yourself exploring a centuries-old castle with spiral staircases that lack modern handrails, or strolling across uneven pavement in a bustling city center where crowds jostle you from all sides. What might be a minor stumble for a younger adult can spell a serious fracture for someone whose bones are more brittle. And if you do suffer a fracture, you could be dealing with complex medical care in a place where English isn't widely spoken or where the nearest competent hospital is miles away. Mobility aids like canes or walkers help, but can become liabilities on steep or narrow steps. Cruise ships often seem like ideal solutions. Everything is in one place and walking is minimized. Yet ships also have swaying corridors, sometimes slippery decks, and lurching motions that make balance tricky. Some seniors overestimate their ability to adapt to these changing conditions, or they ignore crucial signals like recurring knee pain until it's too late. The real danger of injuries goes beyond the immediate pain. A fall that breaks a hip or fractures an ankle can trigger a downward spiral, leading to reduced mobility long after the trip is over. Rehabilitation might be slow, costly, and emotionally draining. Many seniors also experience a loss of confidence in their balance and physical capability, leading them to become more sedentary in the months or years that follow. It's vital to acknowledge that traveling to scenic spots often involves hiking, exploring, or climbing. Even museum tours might require hours of standing. If you're not prepared, minor joint aches or foot pain can balloon into major injuries simply because your body is unaccustomed to the strain. A single trip over a cobblestone can cost you months of recovery and thousands in medical bills, money that might have been better spent on more low-impact adventures. While the physical risks are sobering, the financial dangers can be just as daunting. A common misconception is that standard health insurance or Medicare will automatically cover any incidents abroad. In reality, many seniors find out too late that their coverage stops at the border, leaving them responsible for everything from routine doctor visits to emergency operations. Even travel insurance policies can have hidden clauses that limit the maximum payout or exclude pre-existing conditions, turning a sudden medical crisis into a massive financial burden. Beyond medical costs, there's the cost of cancellations and disruptions. Age makes sudden changes in health more likely, meaning you might need to postpone or cancel a trip at the last minute. Without robust trip cancellation insurance, you might lose thousands of dollars on non-refundable airfare, cruise bookings, or hotel reservations. The stress of watching your hard-earned vacation savings evaporate can be overwhelming, especially if you're already on a fixed income. Scams are also a rampant hazard for older travelers. Whether it's the friendly taxi driver who doubles your fare, the fake tour agent selling exclusive tickets, or the online booking service that turns out to be a sham, seniors are often viewed as easy targets. Once abroad, you might be less inclined to argue over small fees, or you might not realize you're being overcharged until it's far too late. Even reputable websites can occasionally host fraudulent listings, leading unsuspecting travelers to book accommodations that don't exist. Fixing these issues after arrival can involve exorbitant last-minute prices, draining your funds, and souring the overall experience. Credit card security is another point of vulnerability. Some destinations have card readers that clone your card info, or unscrupulous vendors who tack on hidden charges. If you're not vigilant about checking your transactions regularly, you could be racking up debt without noticing until you're back home, sorting through a mountain of unfamiliar charges. And trying to resolve these disputes from abroad is often complicated by time zones, language barriers, and erratic internet connections. It's no exaggeration to say that a single ill-fated trip can wipe out savings that took decades to build. Before traveling, it's crucial to review your insurance policies in detail, set clear budgets, research trustworthy booking platforms, and maintain extra security measures like travel alerts for your credit cards. While there's no fail-safe solution, being thorough about financial precautions can spare you from devastating losses. Despite the numerous pitfalls, it's important to remember that traveling in your 70s or 80s doesn't have to be a guaranteed disaster. Rather, it requires a carefully tailored approach that respects the realities of aging bodies and minds. The primary shift lies in recognizing that your travel style at 75 likely won't mirror what it was at 45. And that's perfectly okay. For starters, it's wise to choose destinations that are senior-friendly, featuring good infrastructure, reliable healthcare options, and easily navigable terrain. Many countries and cities now cater to older visitors, offering accessible public transportation, ramps, and shorter walking tours designed to accommodate mobility challenges. Cruise lines also have specialized programs and cabins for seniors, though you'll want to confirm how they handle medical emergencies and what kind of insurance is included. Next, consider a slower itinerary. Instead of racing through multiple cities in a short span, you could focus on a smaller region, allowing for leisurely exploration and ample rest days. Pacing yourself is crucial, scheduling optional tours, incorporating free days for recovery, and resisting the urge to cram every highlight into one trip can make the experience far more enjoyable. This method also helps avoid the relentless fatigue that saps the joy from travel. Adequate insurance coverage can't be overstated. Comprehensive travel insurance that explicitly includes emergency medical evacuation, trip interruption, and coverage for pre-existing conditions is a must. It might cost more upfront, but it can be a lifesaver if you end up in a hospital bed halfway around the world. Working closely with a reputable travel agent or insurance specialist can help you pinpoint the policies that genuinely protect you. Finally, staying realistic about your limits is key. If you rely on daily medications, pack extra, and spread them across different bags so you're never caught empty-handed if luggage gets lost. If you experience mobility issues, inquire about wheelchair assistance at airports, or research tours that offer shuttle options instead of long walks. By acknowledging physical constraints, instead of ignoring them, you turn your trip into a safer, more enjoyable adventure. Longevity is an incredible gift, and many seniors have the time and resources to see parts of the world that were once out of reach. The goal isn't to paint travel as an insurmountable threat for anyone past 70, but to reveal the hidden complexities that younger travelers rarely encounter. The older you get, the less margin there is for error when it comes to health, finances, and overall well-being. Think of travel at this age as a delicate balance between preparation and adventure. By taking the right precautions, you can still explore new cultures, enjoy breathtaking vistas, and create treasured memories. The difference is that every step should be guided by careful planning, professional medical advice, and a realistic assessment of your comfort zone. Remember that there are always alternatives to high-risk travel. Local trips can be surprisingly fulfilling, whether it's a scenic drive to a national park or a relaxed stay in a nearby coastal town. Such options minimize the toll on your body, keep healthcare within easy reach, and often reveal hidden gems in your own backyard. Moreover, traveling in shorter bursts can help you gauge your energy levels and adapt to new environments without the strain of long-haul flights. Ultimately, the decision to travel after 70 is deeply personal. For some, the thrill of adventure outweighs the risks. For others, the stress and potential hazards prove too great. Whatever choice you make, doing so with eyes wide open ensures you can either embark on a journey with confidence or find alternative forms of enjoyment that align better with your well-being. No one wants to imagine that a long-awaited trip could end in hospital visits or financial turmoil. Yet the reality is that after a certain age, what used to be a straightforward vacation can turn into a series of daunting challenges. When you factor in the physical toll, rising health complications, exposure to new infections, potential injuries, and the lurking financial pitfalls, the dream of effortless travel starts to look very different. However, these risks don't have to rob you of the joy of exploration. With the right approach, thorough preparation, honest assessments of your capabilities, and clear strategies for handling emergencies, you can still find safe avenues to satisfy your wanderlust. It's all about traveling on your own terms, with an awareness of the hidden hazards that might otherwise catch you off guard. If you're nearing 70 or well beyond, take a moment to ask yourself, is my excitement about traveling matched by a willingness to prepare for what could go wrong? Am I prepared financially, physically, and mentally? By wrestling with these questions now, you'll be better positioned to avoid the worst outcomes later. You might discover that a relaxed, local getaway suits you better than a whirlwind tour half a world away. Or you may find that with the right precautions, you're ready to set off on another grand adventure. Whichever path you choose, remember that staying informed and realistic is the key to safeguarding both your peace of mind and your well-being. In the end, travel should enhance your golden years, not jeopardize them. Plan wisely, stay vigilant, and never forget that every journey, big or small, can hold the promise of meaningful experiences, provided you embark with a clear view of the road ahead.